Merry meet. Those of you who were here last week, you should know. Okay, so when I say merry meet, y'all just shout merry meet back at me, okay? It's going to be our first test of beloved community. So there's a lot of pressure on you right now. Okay, merry meet. Merry meet. Excellent, thank you. Welcome to the community known as the Unitarian Universalist Church of Amherst. I'm Reverend Michelle Buheit, the minister of this congregation. Today I'm joined up front by our guest speaker, John Snodgrass, who's down here right now, and also worship associate Joe Rautenstrauch. And in a moment, Joe will be taking over for me because today I'm also playing the piano and doing various things that make me run around in circles. So there you go. And of course, the unseen geniuses behind the scenes, or perhaps I should say above them in the loft, our technical crew, Andy and Les. I just like to make them feel uncomfortable. So you, unless they're wearing a name tag, you probably won't know who they even are because you never see them. So look for people who look like they know video tech and thank them, which could be anybody. The flowers up front this morning are in honor and in memory of Joan Staple, a longtime member, 50 years member of this congregation. We had her memorial service yesterday morning. She passed away in November at the age of 99. And, you know, was still like doing her exercises and all. She was an exercise fanatic, still doing all the things up until just a few weeks before she passed. What a wonderful example of living life all the way. So enjoy the flowers. And in fact, if after the service, if a flower says, "Take me home," please take one from the bouquet. It will be our way of extending Joan's presence into our time and beyond. And now our guest speaker, John, is going to offer some words of welcome.
Well, good morning. Good morning. It's nice to see you. So it was a slow night at the tavern, and the bartender was actually just about to close up when suddenly the door burst open, and this full-size bull came walking in. 1,000 pounds of muscle, just horns like big spears, came up to the bar, clamped its hoof down, and said, "Gimlet." And when it lifted its hoof, the bartender saw that there was a $10 bill on the bar. So he turned around, he poured the thing, put it in front of the bull, slid $1 back across the bar. The bull kind of worked to pick it up. The bartender was terrified. He really wanted to break the tension. So he said, we don't get many bulls in here. And the bull said, "At $9 a drink, I'm not surprised." Well, good morning. Welcome to this place which we make holy by our presence. These doors are open to all. We welcome diverse ideas of the source of life, diverse needs, diverse abilities. Come into this place where the ordinary is sanctified, where the human is celebrated, where compassion is strength. Welcome to this place. Together we make it a holy place.
Good morning. I'm Joe Rautenstrauch, a member of the worship design team. We are glad to have John Snodgrass with us again. He's a regular guest speaker at several area UU congregations. John teaches religious studies at Canisius College, and he is the author of numerous books, including Sundance, Plains Life in Balance, and Supernatural Shakespeare, Magic and Ritual in Merry Old England. John will be with us on the first Sundays of April and May, as well as having a book reading and signing event here on Saturday, April 15th. Watch the newsletter for more information. Let the welcoming begin.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Spirit, draw near. Come as you are, as you were, as love wants you to be, as a friend among friends, in your own harmony. Take your time, have no fear, the choice is yours and we're all here. Take a rest, ease your mind, come on home, right now's the time. Come as you are, as you were, as love wants you to be, as a friend among friends, in your own harmony. Take your time, have no fear, the choice is yours and we're all here. Take a rest, ease your mind, come on home, right now's the time.
Like many Unitarian Universalist congregations, it is our custom when we gather to light a flaming chalice. The chalice is a cup, a vessel that symbolizes the gathered community. The flame resembles a spark that each one of us brings to represent the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of our commitment to bring more compassion and justice to the world. Please join me in speaking our chalice lighting words. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use, to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of life. Each week, as we light the chalice to symbolize the gathered community, we also acknowledge that our church is built on holy land, ground that was first cultivated and occupied by the Haudenosaunee and those known as neutrals. We honor them as the original keepers of the land. We offer this libation as our giveaway, a symbol of our respect and deep connection with the land. May we be good stewards of the land and courageously cultivate community with all living things. Together, we weave a tapestry of reverence and belonging. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our song of intention for the beauty of the earth. Number 21 in the gray hymnal, verses 1, 3, and 4. The words will be also projected up front.
For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth
We are a beloved community, a gathering of people of who have chosen to journey together to encourage one another and to be part of something important and life-changing. Because we aspire to be such a people, we make bold promises about how we will be with one another. Whether today is your first time or you've made UU Amherst your longtime home, you are invited to share in our sacred promise.
Together we promise to gather in compassionate community, to celebrate diversity of thought and unity of spirit, and to seek wholeness for ourselves, our children, and our world.
Our journey has begun. We've gathered and greeted one another. We've acknowledged with deep gratitude the legacy of the land that holds us and the light we carry within. Everything we have done to this point is the service, in the service is centering presence. We come to church to find our center, to be reminded that we are part of something much greater, much larger than ourselves, and that we are held in love that defies our understanding. And so we bear witness to one another's joys and pain. We make room in the circle and in our hearts for all that we bring. You'll note that the table where we acknowledge our joy and pain is round, a gathering place. Even as you bring your individual hopes and cares, you are part of a circle of love. So gather around, exchange a glance, a smile, even an encouraging touch. We can let go of neat lines and embrace the messiness of community. Come forward and place your stone in the company of others.
Sing with me, Spirit of Life. Go ahead and change, there we go. Spirit of life, come unto me. See
the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright sunny day and the dark cloudy night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear puppies cry. I watch you grow. Why, you'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
My two youngest sons, 9-year-old Malcolm and 6-year-old William, wake up in the morning and they ask me for a bagel. This is fine. I'll cut a bagel in half and feed both of them. I figured out that when I give them each a whole bagel, I later wind up finding 2 jagged, half-eaten bagel fossils in the couch cushions, which can be a really painful discovery. I toast the bagel, they say thanks. Actually, in my house, dropping a bagel into a toaster, waiting 40 seconds, and then spreading something on it actually counts as making a bagel. As if I had sowed, reaped, threshed, and ground the flour, shaped it and baked it, made a bagel. My sons think I'm some kind of magician, when really, I'm just the toaster's lovely assistant. The toaster is the magician that presto makes a cold roll vanish, and then presto, a warm bagel materializes out of thin air. And I just stand there looking pretty. I guess I'm kind of like a mathemagician who can turn one bagel into 2 by cutting it in half. Like, behold, division is actually multiplication. My sister is an Episcopal priest. Right now, she is also conducting a service in New Jersey, and she's performing the miracle of transubstantiation, turning crackers into the body of Christ. I can't do that. But I can transform one bagel into 2 breakfasts. I can break the body of Christ into a communion, as long as the eaters are very small. Anyway, I toast this thing. Malcolm wants cream cheese. William wants butter. Malcolm won't touch a bagel with butter. To him, that's not a bagel at all. And William feels the same way about cream cheese. It's the same lactose, but these two have a religious level intolerance about it. If Malcolm eats his half and wants more, I point to the stub William didn't finish, and I say, first eat that, then we'll talk. He says, no, that's a William bagel. It's like some kind of treasonous traitor. It's gone over to the other side. It can never come back. It can never be a Malcolm bagel. What's up with these two? Same parents, same house, same crazy hairstyle. We still put them together in the same bathtub, but these little preferences make them feel as if they're completely different. And they demand that their individuality be honored. Each wants something that was intentionally and exclusively made for only him. Which is funny to me, the guy who just cut the same bagel in half. But each side has been transformed, personalized into a one-of-a-kind gift for a unique individual. Some people might hear this and say, well, that's what makes you a good parent. If you're thinking that, it's because you can't read my mind. And hear how many times I think this is ridiculous. It's just food. Eat it so you can get on with your life. I feed my kids because hungry children bother and annoy and interrupt me. So if I want a moment of peace to obsess about whatever I'm obsessing about, usually myself, first I've got to preemptively silence those interruptions. What these two have in common, the same parents who work to earn the food so that we can work again to prep and serve it. They are both fed by the amber waves of grain and the fruited plain, the heartland of this country. Butter and cream cheese that, for all we know, may have come from the same cow. An abundant wet nurse whose body makes food for her own offspring, but on top of that, think about it, this bovine single mom in Wisconsin is willing to nurse 330 million human Americans. Can you imagine that? You and me, foster siblings, adopted and nurtured by the same cow, whom we've never even met. But she put the cream in my coffee and the milk in your Raisin Bran. The cow is part of some English phrases that are currently fading out of usage. Nobody says holy cow anymore. Apparently, this expression comes from baseball radio announcers. I guess old-time fans huddled by the radios just needed something really big and improbable to envision during a hit that they couldn't see. Like bases loaded, strike one, strike two, holy cow! As if the calfskin ball had come back to life and this super cow had jumped over the moon. Well, holy cow is fading out, as is the expression sacred cow, meaning somebody's personal hobby horse. Come to think of it, nobody says hobby horse much anymore either. Expressions beginning with bull are still around and doing fine. You see, look, you get up in front of a congregation, you tell a joke that's got the word bull in it. Everybody thinks they know where the joke is going. Oh, for goodness sake. It's got to be clean for the kids. But holy cow, sacred cow are both facing extinction, which is interesting because the cow figures in some of humanity's earliest and most enduring symbolism. Cattle were popular subjects for Paleolithic, Stone Age cave painters. These were the millennia before farms and fences, when humans were migratory foragers and cattle were truly free range, leaner and meaner than their modern mutant descendants. They were fearsome beasts, individually formidable, and in a communal stampede, unstoppable. But if you could kill one, it was the biggest party of the year. Our English word carnival still reflects this. It comes from carne, the word for meat, the idea that meat eating used to be something that most people only got to do on the big holidays. The oldest known cave painting in the world is this. It is a cow in Borneo that someone etched in red ochre 40,000 years ago. There are also examples painted in the caves of France and other locations in Europe. These caves were not public art galleries. They were deep, dark, dangerous to access. Some archaeologists say that cave etching came from a belief that humans could descend into the womb of the earth and fertilize it with symbolic images so that animals would be born. The earliest known experiment with city building was 9,000 years ago in Anatolia, what we now call Turkey. And this ancient city housed thousands of people in multi-story apartment complexes, and excavators have identified one of its deep inner chambers as a temple. And in this cave-like room, bull skulls with plaster features were affixed to the walls. We don't know why, but it's likely a parallel with earlier traditions of etching cattle in deep caverns. Statues and carvings of cattle are also found in the oldest settlements of the Indus Valley, what we now call India, where a matriarchal metropolis arose 5,000 years ago. This civilization conducted the first known experiments with indoor plumbing. And in numerous carvings in the ruins, we find the heifer and the bull as symbols of fertility and virility. This culture flourished for 2,000 years before it was buried, likely due to invasion from the north. But the cow continues to be venerated in India. The Sanatana Dharma, which we call Hinduism, forbids the slaughter and consumption of beef. And cattle cannot be owned. They are free to wander even the streets of Indian cities, producing milk and oil that play important roles in Hindu rituals. When we think about sacred cattle in ancient religions, one of the first stories to come to mind might be the famous golden calf fiasco in the biblical book of Exodus. When the liberated Hebrews had escaped from Egypt and Moses climbed the mountain to receive the law, the people gathered to demand a God statue that they could pray to for provision as they crossed the dry and dangerous desert. Well, the story ends in disaster. But regardless of crime and punishment, it's interesting to note that when the Hebrews wanted a shape to pray through, the image that came to mind was a sacred cow. There are many other examples of holy cows in religions throughout the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. As an old expression goes, we could keep listing these till the cows come home. There is also cattle's North American cousin, the bison, who plays a significant role in the indigenous spiritualities of the Great Plains. Natives of the Midwest believe that the plains belong to the buffalo herds, and that the buffalo host the human population, providing food, clothing, shelter in the form of leather teepees, and bones to make tools from. And in exchange for this hospitality, humans can conduct religious rituals encouraging rainfall and grass growth that will feed the bison populations in return. Most ancient traces of cattle veneration are mysterious etchings and carvings from ancient cultures whose stories have been lost in the shifting sands of time. Oddly enough, it's the Vikings who preserve one of the oldest known cow myths in print. Norsemen were surly pirate types. Even the word Vik means to pillage. So Viking was a name given by outsiders. When people would say, "Here come the Vikings," it meant, "Here come the pillagers." But the 13th century text known as the Prose Edda contains a story about the beginning of the earth in a place between the realm of fire and the realm of ice. There was a cow called Auhumla who stood licking a large lump of salt. She secreted 4 streams of milk and nursed the frost giant Ymir. And as she licked away at the salt, she found some hairs on her tongue. Licking further, she revealed the head and then the body of Buri, the grandfather of the Norse sky gods. Well, then the story turns pretty Viking. The sky gods kill and dismember the frost giant, making land from his flesh and mountains from his bones, clouds from his brains, oceans from his blood, and the sky from his skull. And then eventually one of the frost giants gets revenge. Loki is adopted by the sky gods, and his trickery triggers the apocalyptic Ragnarok. It's a brutal, nasty story from a culture that basked in bloody violence. The cow is quickly forgotten, which is too bad, because for one shining moment there, it was this cow who had nurtured both of these ancient enemies, feeding the frost giant and freeing the sky god from a block of salt. She is a symbol of maternal warmth, and her generosity is not bounded by either side of this ancient struggle for control. Why all of this enmity between the sky gods and the frost giants anyway? Who knows? Maybe the sky god liked butter and the frost giant liked cream cheese. It's hard today to think of the cow as something sacred, something worthy of reverence. We've spent thousands of years selectively breeding the fattest and stupidest heifers with the slowest and stupidest bulls. Our agricultural science is based on unnatural selection. We've done this to make the cow totally dependent on us. And we have developed a dangerous dependence on beef. Now it turns out cattle flatulence might be more hazardous than fossil fuels, and cheap hamburgers might be more addictive than opium. The industrialization of harvesting milk and meat is horrific. The modern cow is more like a plant than an animal. When we contemplate our modern relationship with cattle, there is a lot to feel bad about. But, spoiler alert, this message is not going to end with me telling you to go cry over spilled milk. It's fascinating to look at how many cultures share a respect for the cow as a symbol of abundance and generosity. It literally generates goodness. A cow can feed creatures as different as calves and humans, as different as Malcolm and William, and can inspire religions as diverse as peaceful Hindus and violent Vikings. There's something universal about the cow. It even seemed, for a moment there, like the cow could make the topic of a really easy Unitarian sermon. Too late. I realized that since we don't all have milk and meat in common, I would need to come up with an ending that had a vegan option. It is never a compliment to call someone or to be called a cow. It is not a symbol of ambition and intellect. It's just a symbol of unquestioning, non-judgmental generosity. But you know, maybe there's some wisdom in that. Thank you.
All God's creatures got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire, and some just clap their hands or pause or anything they got now. Well, listen to the bass, it's the one on the bottom where the bullfrog croaks and the hippopotamus moans and groans with a big to-do, and the old cow just goes moo.
Well, the dogs and the cats, they take up the middle. Honeybee hums, crickets fiddle. Donkey brays and the pony neighs. The old coyote howls. All God's creatures got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands or paws or anything they got now. Oh, listen to the top where the little bird sings the melody with the high voice ringing.
Hoot owl hollers over everything,
And the jaybird disagrees.
singing in the nighttime, singing in the day. The little duck quacks and he's on his way.
The possum don't have much to say.
And the porcupine talks to herself.
All God's creatures got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just sing their high, the pause, or anything they got now. Everybody here is a part of the plan. We all get to play in the great critter band, from the eagle in the sky to the whale in the sea. It's one great symphony. All God's creatures got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud in the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands, pause, or anything they got now. All God's creatures got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands, or pause, or anything they got now.
Our service is drawing to an end, which means our service to the world is ready to begin. So let me tell you about some upcoming opportunities to connect and serve in the days to come. I am still opening an opportunity if you are interested in knowing more about your dreams and what they might mean. There is an initial group meeting on Saturday, March 18th at 11 o'clock here at church. And if you're curious about what your subconscious is trying to tell you while you're busy sleeping, come and find out a little bit more. And if we have a great big group, then we'll have a couple of smaller groups to make it manageable. But this is something that I'm currently studying, and I'm finding it to be very, very enlightening. I'm just going to let that sit on the table for you. Yes. And I would be remiss if I did not invite you to participate in a very fundamental way in keeping this church vital and lively. The first, of course, is show up online, in person, all the ways. And one of the other ways, I don't know, it's about 16th down the line, but it's still in the important range, is to support us financially. There is a green basket at the back if you want to participate in person. Otherwise, you can go to our website, uuamherst.org, and click on the giving link. Or, as you see, you can text your gift because we are that modern. So you can do that. I bring that up not because, oh, my Lance, she always talks about money, but because we pick fruit from trees we did not plant, and we drink water from wells we did not dig. And that is as it should be, so long as we dig and plant for those who will come after us. And that's exactly what we're doing here. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing blessing, and then remain standing as we extinguish the chalice. Travel light and travel easy, till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy, and remember I'm your friend. May the road rise up to greet you as you leave your past behind. I will think about you gently, and I'll hold you in my mind. Last verse. Look at each other, twinkle your eyes, sing to one another. Travel light and travel easy, till I see you once again. Travel light and travel easy, and remember I'm your friend. And join me as we close our service with these words. And Joe, if you would extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And John would like to offer a benediction as well, so that we're giving your legs a chance to get blood back in them.
Together we have sanctified this space. If you have found strength and comfort here, share some out there. They need it. Remember that you are blessed and you are a blessing and you are not alone.